Welcome to the Our Voice podcast, y'all.
Yeah.
Right, the Neil and Desmond show. I am Desmond Meade, and this is...
I'm Neil Volz. I'm the Deputy Director of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition.
That's right, and Our Voice podcast is a podcast that is designed to elevate the voices of people who've been directly impacted by our justice system. While we know there's a lot of experts out there in the world, some of them even are allies, we understand that we have what we call subject matter expertise, right? And that we are now in a moment where other people don't have to talk for us, right? That we can talk for ourselves. And so the podcast is designed, for those of you all who have not signed up, we're on all platforms. Make sure you sign up and subscribe to our podcast. But this podcast is designed to elevate the voices of people who are directly impacted, all right? Not only in the state of Florida, but across this entire country, right? Folks like us need to know that there's other people out there doing amazing work, right, in all kinds of facets, whether they're being elected into office, whether they're running successful companies, whether they're leading successful movements, or creating creative and innovative ideas, right, and strategies. Man, we are in the middle of a lot of that stuff. And that's why we're excited to have this giant, right, with us in this podcast, because he is the inspiration. Matter of fact, I was telling him last night, right, not only is he an inspiration to returning citizens in general for the work that he's doing, but he's also a personal inspiration to me, right, because he teaches me about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a father, right, and a husband. And I learn from him every time I look at him. And so it's definitely an honor, you know, to just be chilling with my homie and with Neil. And I don't know, Neil, if you want to say a couple of things about
I was just
our
going
host.
back up what you were just saying, because Marcus, man, we're family, you know?
Yep.
It's fun to be up on stage, to have a real conversation about what's going on right now with somebody like yourself who's, I look up to you. I have such admiration for how you built your company. You do it the right way. You're fun to hang out with. So welcome to the Our Voice podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, man. I really appreciate you guys, man. I mean, it's first I'll say it's incredibly dope to be able to be here, but the leaders and the giants that you guys are, I mean, the impact that you have, not just in Florida, but around the globe, right? I mean, it's amazing. You should definitely give. I mean, that's move for applause. Absolutely.
Well, they didn't want to clap louder for us than they clap for you, bro. They're trying to give you your proper, your proper due.
You guys do a great job of making me feel welcome. Thank you.
Well, let me tell y'all something about Marcus. See, I'm not gonna ask Marcus to tell his story, right? I'm gonna tell Marcus' story for him because it's so like incredible. Right, Marcus, I ain't gonna get all into the detail. Marcus is gonna fill some gaps, but Marcus was direct filed as a juvenile as well, right? Marcus went in, I think, for a carjacking, right? He and his co-defendant, right? They got caught, they jacked the car, got caught, and was given a lot of time, right? And I'm gonna let him tell a little bit about the experience that he was in that actually led to him doing what he's doing now. But I wanted to say this thing, right? Marcus and his co-defendant, right, both was juveniles, went into the criminal justice system, did some hard time, came out of it, right? And Marcus, successful entrepreneur, just doing the change maker. And you know what his co-defendant? His co-defendant, right, is a brother by the name of Jerome Betts.
Dwayne Betts.
Dwayne Reginald Betts.
Dwayne Betts, yeah.
I said Jerome too, right? Dwayne Reginald Betts, who is a poet, author, he's a lawyer, have a law degree, he's a professor, right? And last year had the distinction of being one of the first two formerly incarcerated people to receive the MacArthur Genius Grant, right?
And time out, y'all. You know who the other one was, right? The genius over there.
And so to think about these two jits that started off, right, on a bad note, and where they end up now, is a testament to the power that we possess inside to transform ourselves and others, because every time they transform themselves, it has an impact on so many people that's looking at them.
Yeah, God is great, man. Thank you, Desmond. Appreciate you.
Now go ahead.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, you know, it's been an incredible, I tell you, it's been an incredible journey, and we'll save some time to actually have an authentic conversation, but I think it is good to have, give some context to how we got here, and then we can just have a cool conversation. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to go out and check out the Flikshop photo booth and learn what Flikshop is, I'll tell you what that is in a second. I also want to take a quick second and shout out my guy Chris. He's our senior engineer over at Flikshop. He builds all the
See,
tech
money.
Yeah.
Hardest working man is show business over there.
and
You look like your muscle too.
Yeah, right. I gotta bring him with me. I'm like, yo, Chris, make sure you have my back over there in the corner.
Yeah, look like he'll be a good extra in WWE Raw. I'm telling you.
Oh, I like it.
But yeah, I did. I went to my boy Dwayne and I. We carjacked somebody. I was 15. I was a sophomore in high school. He was a junior in high school. It was one of our worst decisions, but the very next day we were arrested for it, and then they certified us as adults. We both got sentenced to 23 years to life for that one. And we were in the state of Virginia. You know, Virginia's a commonwealth, and this was around the time where Virginia had just started, just brought out this new law that came out in a few years prior, and then they also abolished parole at that time, in a year prior to that. And so our judge told us, like, hey, look, I'm going to keep you with these 23, but I'm going to suspend 15 of them. You're going to have to serve 8, but you're going to have to serve 8 in all adult maximums for the rest. So it was interesting, as a 15-year-old kid. I mean, I went through puberty in prison. You know what I mean? I was such a kid, and if I'm being honest, like, I was in denial for the first couple of years that I was there. I'm a 15-year-old kid. I'm like, look, I'm gonna miss Earth Science class. My girlfriend just bought me a brand new Kenneth Cole t-shirt I'm gonna wear when we come back from Christmas break. I just got moved up from JV to varsity on a basketball team. So like, my life and my world was like, they'll figure it out. My mom, somebody will talk to a judge and they'll figure out how to get me out. And I literally lived in denial for the first 2 years. Like, everyone else was in prison. I was just there. I was the guy who would like hit you and run through the unit. Like, I legit was playing tag on the housing unit. Legit playing tag on the housing unit, bro. It's crazy. I was such, and looking back in hindsight, it's like, yo, I can't believe, like, seriously, but. So, it's crazy, and it was interesting because, after a couple of years of this, I'm 16, 17 years old, I'm growing up in this place, and in prison is one of the only places, you could be 17 years old and one of your best friends is like in their mid-50s, right? And I'm walking around in rec yard with my boy Danny B, and we having an incredible conversation, and if I'm honest, I'm like, y'all locked up. I'm just here until my mom figures this whole thing out. And I'm asking Danny B, I'm like, Danny B, how long you been here? Because I've been here for 2 years. I mean, I'm a vet now, right? Like, I does this thing. I know how to commissary, count time, this is my thing, right? And so Danny B looks at me, he's like, I served 31. So when Danny B tells me he served 31, my heart drops because now I'm like, oh snap, if they'll make Danny B serve 31, clearly they'll make me serve all 8 of mine. And I didn't know how to deal with that mentally in that moment. It was a reconciling moment that I probably should have had at the time of sentencing, but it was such a massive delay, I now had to grapple with what I thought that my life would look like for the next 6 years.
Dude, what are you feeling in that moment, man?
Dude, I'm scared to death. And it's honest, I wasn't even, up until that point, there was no fear. Like, because I wasn't in prison.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't in prison until that moment.
Right.
Wow.
Everything became real. The tower became real. The guns they had, it wasn't for everyone else. It was for them and me too. You know what I mean? Like, I had to stand up for count at 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. But I was standing up because my cell partner had to stand up.
Oh, right on.
You know what I mean? They were in there. Yeah. I was just waiting for my mom to figure it out with the prosecutors and the judge.
Yeah. Wow.
When that moment happened, now count time was different, right? Like, and then when the COs walk by, like I hated them then.
Right. Do you see yourself differently right now?
I hated them. I hated the warden. I hated my cell partner. I hated me.
That's deep.
I hated my mom. I hated my lawyer. I hated God.
Right.
I couldn't believe that the same God that my grandmother and my mother introduced me to when I was a kid, when I was a baby, would be the one that would allow for me to go through this moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, every day I'm praying, first my prayer, Lord, give my mother the right words that she needed to go talk to the prosecutor so they can get me out of here.
That's a good prayer.
That's
a good prayer.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that one didn't work. Yeah, that one. And then it pivoted to now, Lord, give me the strength to be able to get through this moment. And I'm staring inside of this scratched up mirror that's over top of this faucet connected to this toilet. And I'm like, yo, this is it. This is it. And it's interesting because this is an era where Virginia was, the folks in Virginia, in Richmond specifically, had a big beef with people from DC. And I'm from DC and I'm locked up in Virginia. Shout out to somebody else who was from DC. Hey, look at that. There we go.
DC in the house.
DC in the building.
What?
And the first thing that my cell partner does when he tells me that when I get in the record, I was like, yo, oh, you from the city? You from DC? Dude, you know y'all beef with Richmond. You might want to go ahead and make sure your coat is good with the magazines before you go outside in the rec yard because the beef is getting real thick and tense. And I'm trying to figure out how to move through this new environment. Again, crazy because I've been there for a couple of years now, but now this is a brand new environment with the mindset, right? And it talks about you, I mean, you just talked about the power within you and how your mindset can not only help shift what you're capable of doing or what you believe you're capable of doing, but it also controls how you perceive yourself, the situations you're in, your perspective around your surroundings, your situational awareness begins to evolve and change as your mindset begins to change, right? I'm talking to my mom and my mom is like, she's going through it and she's trying to help connect with me what hope looks like. And I'm like, lady, stop it. So the 15 minutes runs out. I tell my mom, don't come and visit me anymore. That very next weekend, my mom shows up in the visiting room.
That sounds like my mom.
So they called me for a visit, and I'm like, well, who's coming to visit me? Because I just clearly told, and no one else comes to visit, right? So I walk in the visiting room, and here's my mom, and I'm like, Mom, we had this conversation. And so she sits down in front of me, and she got the honey buns in front, for me, and the slice of pizza, the little circle of pieces in the vending machine, and the bag of quarters just sitting there. And some of y'all know that setting. And she's sitting across from me at the visiting room table, and she looks at me and she's like, Marcus, I love you. First of all, don't you ever call me with no nonsense like this talking about something you gotta stop reading for me. Have you lost your mind? Boy, there is nothing that you can do to out-criminalize my love for you. There's nothing that you can do to push me away. You are my only son. God gave you to me for a reason, and it doesn't matter what has happened in your life. I will be here for the next 6 years and forever until I hit the grave. If you ever call me, don't you think that you're too grown while I reach across, and I'm sitting at the visible table.
Go ahead, Bishop.
Hey, and we just got a message to Mama Bullock. We love you. Yes, thank you.
Shout out to moms. Shout out to moms, because if I'm being honest, right, like my mom went from being, when I was home, I didn't grow up with my dad, and so with my mom, she was she was less of the nurturer and more of the person that wanted to make sure that her black son would be able to grow up inside of a world where he can kind of sort of move through. And what that meant was like being the disciplinarian, understanding what it looked like to go to school, trying to set the example of what education can do and how it can create pathways for success, all of those things. And my mom went from that person that was very stringent and like on the ball, like, Marcus, you're gonna do this thing. And now I'm in prison. And she didn't feel the need or compelled to try to continue to be that mom. Now she went from being that strict mom to being a nurturer. She was like, hey, I'm just here to love on you. And
that's wise.
It was interesting, right? I mean, I look back in hindsight and I can see the power in it, but at the moment, I'm a 17-year-old kid that's like, Mom, when you leave out of the visiting room, you gonna get in your car and roll the window down, the wind's gonna be blowing in your head. when I go out of that door over there where that CO is standing, the first thing they gonna tell me to do is squat and cough.
Yep, squat and cough.
That's the first thing they're gonna tell me to do. Our lives are completely different, Ma, and I have to learn how to navigate through this new world. And my mom, she makes a promise to me in that video room. She says, Marcus, you know what? I need you to understand there's still life. There's still hope after this experience. There's still something that's baked inside of you and it's gonna come out. And mind you, right, I'm 17 years old. The last grade completed was the 9th grade. The only last time my mom see me graduate from anything was the 6th grade, right? No major.
And you just told your mom to not talk to you again, right?
Mom, leave me alone, right? And here she is wanting to figure out ways to, try to ensure that I felt loved and seen in an environment where there was a lot less hope and I was still the number like everyone else and didn't feel as seen. And so she told me, she said, Marcus, I'm gonna promise to write you a letter or send you a picture every single day from this day forward for the next 6 years until you come home, because I want you to live life through my lens. I want you to see that there's hope after this. I want you to see what the world looks like around me. And my mom was like Instagram before it was Instagram. She would take pictures of food. My mom was taking pictures of her employees, her team members at work. She took pictures at church. She took pictures of my nieces and nephews standing in line getting on a roller coaster at a theme park. And it was interesting now because my best friends, the ones who I'm now growing up in these cells with, these are my brothers, right? We share a kindred spirit when you're in these rooms, and no one else is getting mail like this, especially consistently, right? And so now everybody else is starting to live vicariously through my letters and photos, and now they're like, oh, yo, your mom sent you the pictures of at the amusement park. What happened to funnel? You need to eat funnel cake? Yo, I remember funnel cake. Yo, if funnel cake is best with strawberries on it or powdered sugar, and then there's somebody else in the housing unit, nah, you gotta put chocolate on funnel cake. And there's a whole somebody else in the housing unit. So now everybody's arguing about, you know what I mean, the
power of that picture right there.
That one photo, it was new content in the housing unit. Right? So for the next couple of hours, we're talking about the memories of amusement parks and the families and all of the things that we want to do and all of this stuff. Right now, mind you, the way my judge sentenced me, they were all in maximum security. So everybody around me has 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Some of them have life sentences. My cell partner has life plus 43. And now I'm the person with the lowest, I'm the youngest person in the rec yard. I have the least amount of time in the entire prison. And everybody is like, hey, Smoke, you get mail today? What happened? Let me see what mom say. Did your sister get her GED? What's going on? It was funny, right? But the first time my mom realized that I was like, showing my brothers the flicks and everything, they walking in the visiting room, they're like, hey, Miss Bullock, how you doing? She like, how they know me? I'm like, nah, Ma, that's the homie. They sent the mail. They're like, oh.
He loves your funnel cake.
Man. I don't know. And then, they're like, yo, did you get your washing machine and dryer fixed? They're like, I didn't know about Ma. You send me the pictures. One dude used to work for Maytag. The other guy talking about Kenmore's better. It was a whole thing in the break, y'all. Just go with it, Ma. Like, okay, hey, I'm working on getting a dryer fix. I don't know. Wow. And it was interesting, that relationship that we started to build and cultivate through her letters and photos. And she gave me something that no one else had in those cells. It allowed me to connect with her and my family and my community in a very interesting way. My mom saved my life.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm grateful for her.
And so that period, that interaction, right, is the motivation, driving force behind that setup that you had out there. How many of y'all got a chance to use the Flikshop photo booth?
Yes, right? Yes, thank you.
Now you understand the significance of taking that picture. It wasn't about you. It was about people that's still on the inside. Absolutely. That need that lifeline. Absolutely. Right? That need that window, right, to out here. To really, because that helped you a lot for 6 years, didn't it?
Bro, when I say it, I knew what kind of car my mother drove when she came home because of her pictures. I knew what my bedroom would look like because of her pictures. My mom would take pictures at a department store of a mattress and write a long 3-page letter, Marcus, one day you gonna sleep on a pillow top mattress when you come home.
Damn.
Now, Mom probably didn't predict that one day I would be able to fly down to Florida and Orlando and have some amazing people and sleep in this nice DoubleTree hotel. She couldn't probably predict that, but it was those things that allow for me to at least aspire to have a life outside of what I saw in that moment.
Yes.
And now being able to come home and build the technology that has now connected over 170,000 families
Y'all heard that?
around the country.
Y'all heard that? One man. How they do it? One man, all by myself.
And I gotta say, Marcus, man, when we've talked, you have said to me a couple times, like, you can't do what you can't see.
Yeah.
Right? So this concept that, like, the power of being able to see, and have aspiration and walk into that, like, how much was that a force in terms of kind of the next steps in terms of building Flikshop out? And I feel it with all of us. Like, I think Desmond gave us a vision that we can see, and being able to see then means we can then do, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, you're right. I say it all the time. It's very, very hard to be what you can't see. I think that we need the models of people in front of us to, one, be able to expose us to what the possibilities are.
Right on.
Like, how would I know where to go, how to canvas, how to phone bang? Like, Marquise did an incredible job yesterday when he was introducing how to phone bang and just running through how to use the app. Interestingly enough, in the imperfections of life, even when they come, knowing how to even adjust in no moment. I remember even watching him on stage when he was doing a demo and somebody answered the phone. He's like, "Oh, my bad. Hold up, wait a minute. Yo, you on the phone here?" Right? Like, even not understanding how, that was funny. That was hilarious. He did an incredible job. He did an incredible job with it. Shout out to my little bro Marquise, man. I love that guy. But it's necessary for people to model in front of us. I think it helps us, give us an idea of what the possibilities are. I think that the other thing that it allowed for me to do was to give me a place to dream. It was instant, before the realities of life started to hit me after that walk around the rec yard with Danny B, that I was able to dream about a future and what my life could look like because I had the permission to believe that there was something after the next day because I thought I was going to go home. And then when the dream seemingly got crushed by that conversation with Danny B, it seemed like I didn't have permission to dream any longer.
Ooh.
So
that's a different world then at that moment.
Man,
you made me nervous. I'm gonna
I'm gonna call you Bishop from now on. Bishop Marcus.
That's right.
Right, but I want to just shift a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things I really want to bring out. There were some folks that was incarcerated with you other than Dwayne, right? Yeah. That you have actually provided space for them when they got out.
God did.
Can you speak on that?
Yeah. That was a blessing. A couple of people that got me this weekend. Neil got me one time this weekend. Chaz got me one time this weekend. They made me kind of sort of begin to emote. Desmond, I'm not going to let you do it. I'm not going to let y'all pull a tail my eye while I'm on the stage. But one of the things, nah.
Oh, all right.
They try to put a battery in. Like, I'm not doing it. It was a blessing. When I first came home, it was challenging to find a job. I finally found a job at working at a paint store, and I was the guy who was mixing paint there. And then eventually I ended up figuring out a way to connect people who would come into the paint store to get their kitchens painted with painters who were looking for new work. I merged the two. I became a broker of those, and I started a painting business. And that was my first introduction to entrepreneurship. But before that happened, I knew that I had a responsibility to be able to figure out a way to create a better, easier pathway for my friends who were going to be coming behind me. I'm coming from home. So when we got sentenced, both Dwayne and I got sentenced to 23 to life. We had a split of the judge, and the judge suspended 15 of my years and suspended 14 of Dwayne's years. So it forced me to do 8. Dwayne had to do 9. He came home a year after me. And I told Dwayne, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm home. I done had to go through the job since I found this spot. It's a little bit, it's minimum wage, but you're going to have a job. I promise you, when you come home, I'm going to make sure I get with my manager and we're going to figure out a way to get you this gig. And so I got Dwayne a job with me at that paint store. Dwayne was working with me for a bit, and he actually launched that painting business with me. It was funny because Dwayne was like, yeah, Marcus, this old knocking on people's doors and asking them, can we paint their kitchens thing ain't my speed. That's you. You like to do this. That's your thing. I want to go back to school. And I'm like, yo, I think you should definitely go back and do that. So Dwayne ended up going the path of education, but enabling him to be able to first have that first job to help give him that extra edge. We did the first couple of contracts together. We were able to make a couple of dollars. He spent, a little bit of cash to go to a community college to get his first semester in. After Dwayne went to his first semester, he got scholarships from that point forward. But having that springboard was definitely helpful for him, and I'm grateful to have that opportunity to be able to pave the way for him to do that. One of the other two men that I met while I was still in prison, both Tony and Torrance. Tony came home a year after Dwayne. I told Tony the same thing. I'm like, yo, bro, you just served 14 years. Yeah, now by this time, I started that painting business. It's starting to grow. Yo, you are saying, I want to help you understand what the power of now entrepreneurship is. I wasn't quite in the paint stores any longer. I'm running this paint business. I can't connect you to a job, and I can't hire you because I don't have enough work to hire you, but I want to show you how, I started my business and how we can do this thing, and maybe we can figure out ways to work together. Tony ends up starting a janitorial firm to spin off of my painting business, and he grows on to grow this amazing janitorial company that gets these awesome contracts with stadiums and FedEx Kinko's and all these kinds of interesting places. Now, it was interesting as we started to build this thing because now we've grown that company a little bit more. 2 years later, my friend Torrance comes home. I met him. He had served 12 years in prison. I told Torrance, I'm like, yo, bro, I've been home for 3 years now. We're growing this painting business. Dwayne's doing his thing. By this time, Dwayne's going to University of Maryland College Park. He's pursuing his 4-year degree on his way to law school. Tony's building up this incredible janitorial firm. Hey, yo, Torrance, I want you to come and work at my construction company because now we got enough resources to be able to hire people. And it was interesting because while I would realize that after hiring 18 people, my first 16 had all had felonies like me. And the dopest part about being able to hire other people who have felonies, right, for real, to be honest, is the job interview. Because at the job interview, that's what they like.
Say it, man.
Yo, so Marcus, I just want to let you know before we get deep into this, I got a felony, and I'm like, I did this thing. I'm like, oh, you got a felony? Bro, I got 3. What you do? I'm like, you did what?
That's not your typical job interview. I love it.
You knew you were about to go do a bid. How much you do? I did 8 years. What you do? Where were you at? Oh, did you know so-and-so? Right, job interview goes completely left, right? And now I'm like, oh, yo, you hired. Don't even worry about it. You meet the criteria. You good. Come on the team, right?
That's it.
And now, that was a dope experience.
But I got to interject on this, right? Because it's not really anything new, because that's a challenge that we see, because how in the industry, in any industry, somebody goes to an interview and maybe that person comes from their alma mater, you know what I'm saying, or part of the same fraternity. Those little things there, click, will get that, man, okay, you good, we got you, you know what I'm saying? And that's the same, we got our own fraternity.
Absolutely.
That's our own little
That's
clique
exactly
there.
right.
Absolutely. Yep. That's the power that we have that you talked about earlier when we build our own table.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, look, we have the power now. And yes, I can bring you in. And what Desmond say? I can also. All right, my bad. All right, cool.
but what Des is saying is right, because when you build it, then you can make the calls.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't like, oh, hey, I got to act like I'm a part of the alma mater to build that rapport.
Yeah.
It's like, nah. Once those guys shared that with you, they saw a pathway.
And by the way, that's not my saying. That's Miss Connie saying.
Thank you, Miss Connie.
I gotta give her the credit.
Thank you, Miss Connie. That was a great experience. Now, Torrance comes home, and I'm like, yo, dude, you can come work with us. Torrance comes on. He becomes a project manager over at the construction business. He continues to grow our construction company. He helps us secure one of the biggest contracts in the state of Maryland. We were the painters to paint the BWI International Airport.
Really? Wait, y'all did the airport?
We did the airport.
What?
Yeah, it was a 3-year contract with a 2-year option.
And that's a nice looking airport, man.
Let me tell you something about what that airport contract did for your boy.
What did
that joint changed my life.
Ooh.
It changed my life because not only did it allow for me to have the opportunity to have now resources to be able to help build my team, but now my family was blessed by this contract as well.
Where's Marquise at? Yeah, 'cause Marquis he's just like janitorial stuff.
Yeah.
He just locked down. He had did the 4th of July celebration.
Right.
For Orange County at Lake Eola. He kind of like look like he going in them same directions.
Bro,
no wonder he be flossing like that with the platform shoes.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about how Marquis is about to eat, right? Because this is one of the things that really changed for our company. And this is I'm gonna just drop this here real quick. Is this a little asterisk? See the bottom of the page, fine print kind of sort of thing. One of the things that allowed for us to be able to get that BWI airport contract was simply because here's the thing about relationships. You cannot outwork relationships.
Ooh.
Say it again, please.
You cannot outwork relationships. Ooh. Nobody's gonna work harder than me. And I knew that, I was gonna work hard, but just as a result of cultivating and building relationships, one day when I'm getting my car service at a dealership, I meet a guy who was introducing me to this project, and he's talking to me about his painting. I'm like, I got a painting business too. And he asked me in that time, he said, he's like, do you have a minority certification? I was like, yeah, I got a minority certification. Googling, what is a minority certification?
I like your hustle, man. Of course I got one of those.
Of course. It allowed us to get our minority business enterprise certification, and that was in the government, they mandate that they give at least 25% of all state contracts to minority businesses. And that was a way for me to gain access to these government contracts. That one singular contract, again, would change my life. Again, it changed me, my employees, my family. Again, it exposed some of my friends to what the possibilities were. Now they could now see that, wait a minute, we can do this thing too. Even when we talk about gentrifying communities, we can participate in this gentrification too. This ain't just for other people, this is for us too. And I think that was interesting and transformative, but one of the things that also allowed for us to do is to now be able to invest in this new tool that we were building called Flikshop.
Flikshop.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what's up.
Thank you.
Is Davion in the building? Davion is not. There go Davion. Davion, he was on the housing panel too. So Davion, another one of our members, he went from our retreat, man, and next thing you know, he building houses and putting returning citizens in those houses and hiring returning citizens in this construction company. It is exciting as hell. I'll be honest with you, just for you to walk through that, right? And as you're talking, I'm thinking about people that are members of FRRC, right, that I see on that same trajectory, right? And right now, man, you was at Aspen. Listen, Neil was too. They didn't invite me, but these two, now Aspen, if you listen, only the best of the best get invited to Aspen. And let me just say this too, on a little sad note. I know you met my brother from the Miami Dolphins, Jason Jenkins. He passed away last night. 47 years old, from the Miami Dolphins. He ran the community liaison thing, and he just passed away, man. So definitely shout out to his family. Prayers go to his family and his wife, and I think he had 3 kids. But you, Jason, and Neil, they was at this place called in Aspen, Colorado. Only the best of the best get invited to Aspen, right? And you talking about the brightest minds in the entrepreneur, in the political world, and they join with some of the most wealthiest people in the world, and they exchange ideas and they find where there's connections at. And Marcus, this is not his first time. Marcus been there before. You talking about a formerly incarcerated person that was direct file as a juvenile for a violent crime, right? We ain't into that violent, non-violent BS, right? But you know how they try to separate people who may have more serious, like they somewhat different or whatever, right? But even with a so-called serious offense, at a young age, this man is rubbing shoulders with some of the most powerful people in the world, right? Right here. Thank you. you know.
I had a blast out of Aspen. You had fun out of Aspen?
I had a lot of fun. Just for the record, I mean, he got in officially. I had one of these with like somebody's name covered up.
yeah,
so I'm
with
still
a
working
piece
on
of
my
tape
hustle
over
game
it.
too, but we don't need to share that too far. But yeah.
But you know, and you touched on yesterday, Marcus, even about like the corporate sponsors that you have for the organization. And so, I mean, listen, we build top flight quality stuff, man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, just share with us about those relationships that you've been able to form, you know, and how you haven't hid the fact from any one of these folks that you're formerly incarcerated.
Oh no. Oh, you want to get all this authentic Marcus. Yeah, all of it. And my mom told me that I could do this. She gave me permission to be my authentic Marcus self, so I'm actually going to do it. You know, it was a blessing, you know, being out in Aspen and sharing ideas. It was interesting because this last time that I was there, we were there to talk about the importance of second chance hiring. And I was there with the CEO of Slack and one of the directors at Georgetown University, and some of the folks from NBC Universal, and we were talking about the power of bringing people that are that have felony convictions back into some of these companies. And I told them there, and as I go everywhere else, I'm like, you know, the problem with some of the people who I'm blessed to be able to meet, because as a result of the rooms that now I'm blessed to be in, is that they'll look at Marcus, and because they don't have proximity to all of this amazingness, they'll look at me and think that, you know, I'm this unicorn or I'm an anomaly, as if there aren't a ton of different Marcuses that are sitting in those cells right now that are just waiting for the opportunity. The reality of it is that those people, including how I was, we just lack social capital, relationships, resources. And if we had those, then we would be able to build some of the same transformative technologies that like we're building here over at Flikshop. And if we're being thoughtful and intentional at some of these companies, then we'll be bringing them in the same way that, you know, I wanted to go apply jobs. Here's the thing, you know, I would apply everywhere when I came home. I would apply at shoe stores, grocery stores, delivering companies, moving companies, mortgage companies. I applied at all these places, and everybody told me no, because this was before the ban-the-box policies got it started getting swept around the country. And because I had to check that box, yes, I had been convicted of a felony, they would immediately tell me I wasn't qualified for the job. The interesting thing is, when that one job application said, have you been convicted of a felony, comma, within the last 7 years, I was like, I just served 8 years. Nah, I ain't been convicted of a felony within the last 7 years.
That's right. That's just math, man. That's just math.
Like, yeah. And that was the one that gave me an opportunity. It was at a paint store, but as a result of them giving me that job, my sales.
Oh, so that was the paint store had that.
The paint store.
Benjamin Moore, wasn't it?
It was Sherwin-Williams. Shout out to Sherwin-Williams. Shout out to Sherwin-Williams.
All right.
Take that back from Benjamin Moore. You get no shout out on this podcast. Sherwin-Williams does.
I was excited. Sherwin-Williams gave me a shot, and as a result of it, I think my sales at Sherwin-Williams were higher than everyone else in the entire company in the U.S. region. Wow! Right? They ended up in one store on 14th and Clifton, Northwest Washington D.C. This one. Okay, somebody over there. I'm uptown.
Man, somebody from Northwest in the house, sir.
That this one person, their sales exceeded, and it was interesting. Now here's the backstory to what my sales was so high, because, you know, all those people would come into the paint store and they wanted to get their kitchens painted, and they was like, we're gonna stand in Marcus's line. We'll wait, because I want to get my kitchen painted. Marcus gonna give me a good price for it. And the painters will come into the paint store when they like buying paint for their schools that they paint, and they want to moonlight for me after work. They would also be like, yo, no, we'll wait in Marcus's line, because we know we about to get a job after this. Get out. And so now my line is super long, and everybody buying paint for me. And now Sherwin was like, why are you selling so much paint? And I'm like, don't worry about it, it's cool.
Wow.
There's the thing is, all of the first 41 companies that told me no before Sherwin-Williams missed an opportunity to capture millions of dollars in revenue because they didn't give me a shot. Now, had they given me a shot, they would have captured this revenue. And I'm telling them, this is what I'm telling our corporate sponsors over at Flikshop today. don't be like those grocery stores and those shoe stores that missed out on having Marcus behind that register.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Right? And so now we have companies like Slack, who are one of our customers, Delta Airlines, who are one of our customers, Boeing, the aircraft manufacturer, one of our largest customers, Bank of America is one of our customers. And we've been thoughtful about how to help them understand the importance and value of hiring people that are coming out of these sales. Because I promise you, we're going to be the most loyal, we're going to work the hardest, we probably going to stay with you longer, we want to figure out ways to grow inside of the company. Because I'm just as shocked that they gave me an opportunity. So I'm like, I want to crush it here.
Well, you're talking the truth. You're talking the truth that we all know in this room. You got great people who can be part of the team, maybe go on to be their own entrepreneurs. So it's wild to see like companies like the JP Morgan or somebody see that light switch go on, right? So what, 2021, 10% of the people JP Morgan hired had records. They told us that they now view us like they view like seniors or students, right? They got to figure out that assimilation system. Like what happens when somebody's got to deal with probation, right? Like we don't got to freak out and then everybody, right? There's tension and suddenly somebody might not be working there anymore, right? It's not that hard, but you got to be intentional about it.
Absolutely.
And they see it because they're getting value, right?
Absolutely.
Is Kate in the house? Kate, policy department, where's Kate? Ooh, she snuck out. Wow, and got called out.
I think I seen Kate to go get. I think I just seen Kate go get some coffee.
Podcast. But
during the podcast.
But I know that Kate, they put together a one-pager, Marcus, and really a lot of those things that you were saying was things that we've shared with folks about, you getting a better worker, the whole 9 yards. We've been really engaged in a fair chance hiring campaign for now over a year now.
Yep.
And when you was talking, I was like, shoot, we don't gotta do all that typing anymore. We just gonna get a picture of you in Flikshop and just put it on a piece of paper, pass that out. The pictures, one picture is worth 1,000,000 words, right?
No doubt.
So no, you are you're a living example. And
thank you.
And every time you deal with those corporations, right? You actually help people like me, our members, right? Because you're helping to change hearts and minds of corporations, right? I mean, worldwide corporations, I'm getting ready to get on a flight by Delta, My bank is Bank of America. The organization use Slack, you know what I'm saying? And so we're interacting with these corporations, and a lot of times, we feel like these corporations don't, they just want our money or whatever, and they don't care about what our situation is, right? But you're going in there, you're the one that got in the door, man.
Yeah, we kicking those doors in.
Yeah.
It's our time now, Desmond.
Yeah,
it's our time. Man. It's our time.
That's what's up. Yeah. And so, Neil, do you want to start some questions?
Yeah.
So this is what we're gonna do, right? I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. Right?
Oh, I'm watching Brandon and Zay get nervous.
Well, listen, our producers. Matter of fact,
we have been way too on script this whole time.
We got ZBK Productions, right? Got Xavier. Where Brandon at? Is he in the room? There go Brandon in the room. Actually, Zay and Brandon, they really helped launch this podcast and this idea, and they've been an amazing production team.
Can we give it up for those guys, please?
And then we got Kenyatta that came on board and providing that support as well. Matter of fact, just give it up for all our comm team, right? Yeah. And so,
Thanks,
but don't get too nervous, right? Because I'm trying to be smooth with it, Brandon. All right. So
because he's about to shift some things.
What I'm suggesting is that Neil will leave the stage, and he will take one of these mics. And he is going to walk around. And then, of course, we got Marcus up in there, too.
You see what's going on right here?
Yep.
The tough question is going to start right out of the gate. And I'm nervous because I know the rules are I got to hold the mic. But
yeah,
Connie
hold that mic. Hold that mic. Don't let him get it, Neil.
I got it, Connie.
Neil, listen.
I got it. No.
She'll get
All right, peace and blessings. And brother, your story was just spot on because I started thinking about my own son that I cannot visit because I cannot handle it. But this really is to Desmond. The acceleration of our movement, and when you're telling the story about 10 to 2, and in other counties it could have been other things too. Coming out of Amendment 4, we took no hostages and we didn't play no games. So is this our acceleration back to where we take no hostage, we play no games, because we understand they're not playing any neither. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah. That was a good one there. Yeah. That was a good one there. So, and I love that question because you just took me back for a little bit, right? Matter of fact, I'm speaking to you directly, Miss Connie. This is, yes, we are headed right to that take no hostage. Matter of fact, I really don't even think we've left. Some people may have thought we left, right? We didn't leave, no. And I'm gonna walk this out with you, right? When we talk about the Dynamic 2 in Hillsborough County, right, that did that, right? In 2016, we did that thing, right? Let's pause that for a second and think about what happened before that, right? Now, when we pause that, we actually go all the way back to at least 2010, 2011, right? When I'm driving up from Dade County, right, and we're meeting at Candy Low Tea Time, meeting here and there, right? We got all them folks, and we into those conversations and building what Marcus talked about you can't outwork a relationship, right? We building those, right? And so that was, the time when you and Life with the Bullhorns and all that, those was a lot of years that led up to that moment there, right? And so it's not flicking the switch and stuff happens, right? We got to Amendment 4 because it took a build-up. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen overnight, and that was one of the things we had to let people know. Don't think that we're just an overnight sensation. It took a lot of years of blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice where ain't nobody was getting paid and there was no resources, right? I remember when we started Amendment 4, people were taking sheets off of their bed and painting signs, going to the arts and crafts store and painting "Say Yes to Second Chances" and using that as tablecloth to collect petitions at events, right? And so there are times when it seems that we're not rah-rah and going after stuff. Don't for a second think that we pausing. Yeah. What you need to think is that we're preparing. Yeah. And we're in that preparing phase right now. We're preparing 300, right, generals, right, and making sure that they're totally equipped. And they ain't talking about no part-time general. They ain't talking about no iffy, fair weather friend general. We talking about some straight diehard people that's gonna ride or die with FRRC no matter what, right, in their communities. And so we are preparing, right, to do what we gotta do. Teddy Roosevelt said, speak softly, carry a big stick. Hey. We getting ready to swing that stick, but before we do, we gonna keep our silence and do our thing and prepare. Yeah. But believe you me, still take no prisoners right here. Yeah.
Hey, Connie, can I say one thing? Because I saw Des talking to Davion last night, right? So this touches on exactly what you were talking about. They were laughing about how, like, Davion has a passion for housing, right? He builds housing with returning citizens. Returning citizens live in the housing. And he's talking about when he's browbeating Des, like, man, basically, you want to come work on the roof, man, make some money? And let's talk about housing. When's the movement going to get into housing? It's like 2017. Des, like, I got to get petitions. That's what we need to do right now. And so, but the whole conversation stemmed from the fact of what we saw yesterday right here. We're gonna get deeper into housing, right? And so, like, that's what we need to do in this moment, but we can't do it unless we get prepared, and where we've been prepares us for this moment. So, Thank you, Connie. I'm supposed to just hold the mic, I think. You know.
Yeah, but you know,
We needed that, though.
wait, let me tell you, you can't hold the mic with Miss Connie. All right, now you can hold the mic with everybody else, but you weren't about to hold that with Miss Connie. I can tell you that now. She'll put you in, and she'll take your behind out. That's right.
I'm just saying, they don't get any
Know
easier
how
right
to
now.
pick your battles,
Look who's
Neil.
next to me now. Cecile's got a question, so carry on.
Okay, this whole weekend has just been so energizing and uplifting. That's why I keep coming back. It's for me even more than the work. We try to bring that energy back home. But I want to tell you, my name's Cecile Schoon, and I want to tell you, I'm a long-term civil rights lawyer in North Florida. My husband's here with me, and he's getting the energy. But we do a lot of different projects, but we're so isolated. And our young people don't really see. I'm gonna ask you, I'll put it on your heart, to do a tour and bring Mr. Marcus and bring Davion and let them go around, especially in the areas that are very rural. Because our little black boys, the only way they know how to be men is act a fool and make a mistake and get a charge, and then boys we know are being killed because they're killing each other, and it's bad. And they need to see it up front and personal, and then you can be talking about the voting and registering to the adults who are still trying to help their youth. So I want to ask you to think about a tour that encompasses the whole deal.
Thank you so much. First of all,
Bus tour. Oh, sorry,
you on that bus, right? Yeah, I'm about to get us in trouble. But first of all, let me say something. Cecile being very unassuming. All right, this woman here is the president, the top dog, the head honcho of the Florida League of Women Voters.
Say that again.
Right here. The big kahuna.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They're the best.
And the husband that she's talking about was John Travolta that y'all seen last night on the dance floor.
Get it.
There you go. Cecile, we've loved your support over the years. Man, you've always showed up for us, even before you became president of the league. Really definitely appreciate it. And what you talked about is something that is, it's funny that you're wearing one of our throwbacks, Ready, Set, Vote bus tour, where we, FRRC, partner with Black Youth Vote, the Florida Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and Florida Memorial College, and we did a HBCU bus tour. And we went to every historical black college and university, registering people to vote, paying fines and fees for returning citizens in those communities. And and then we culminated at the Classic here, right? And so one of the things that we do is that we find creative ways to partner. And let me tell you something, one of our best partners, other than Black Youth Vote, is Faith in Florida, right? And Faith in Florida, I'm gonna tell you right now, they have a youth program, right? And so I could see us partnering with Faith in Florida to do a North Florida tour, right? To really reach out, and maybe, we can get us a celebrity like Marcus, you know what I'm saying, to pop in, to pop out. Maybe if we bring the bus back, he'll definitely come. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying, because everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bring the bus back. Y'all let Mark.
You heard it here first. I'm here.
Okay.
You heard it here first. I'm
We'll
here.
be there. We're gonna make that happen.
That is wonderful. And Desmond, I've been promising you my famous homemade Italian.
Yep,
So you're gonna get
spaghetti and
that. I'm gonna have a big batch ready for y'all.
Oh, well, look at
Are you
here.
gonna demand some barbecue from Desmond?
Hey, I am easily bribable.
Oh man, the hits just keep coming. Danny's got a question.
Uh-oh.
I know. Okay, I gotta do it.
Well, first I wanted to say there's a recurring theme that I've heard this weekend and also just through several conversations with you, Desmond, which is the power of returning citizens and the power that drives all this work. Even what Marcus said when he was speaking, there's 8,000 Marcuses behind bars that got potential of untapped power. And I just wanted to highlight that real quick before I ask my question. I wrote it down, you see.
Like, that's 2 pages.
I know that looked like a dissertation.
I thought you were gonna be like, damn, how'd you guys get so good?
Hey, Neil, feel free to answer that question if you have.
I gave a compliment up front, though. So.
Okay.
But since the passage of Amendment 4, we have seen repeated efforts to impede our progress, FRRC's progress in expanding democracy. First, with the passage of SB 7066 in 2019, but more recently with the governor's election police unit and the arrest of dozens of returning citizens across the state so far, including 10 people in Gainesville, where I call home. What steps is FRRC taking to fight back against these attacks on democracy and these direct attacks on returning citizens? And what will FRRC do to protect returning citizens and ensure their safety and freedom when they go to the ballot box?
Oh, right. That's a...
Let's give it up for that question, y'all.
That's a...
Can I just say, because a lot of people are scared. When I was doing door knocking for GOTV last week ahead of the primary, there are a lot of people who are scared.
They are. And that's very sad. And as a matter of fact, it's not too long. We don't have, in a few minutes, Neil is going to actually be doing some interviews around that in South Florida. But there's a couple of things. How are we responding to this, right? We're responding by, last week we've launched a bail fund, right? And that bail fund is designed that anybody who's arrested on these charges around voting, right, that we are prepared to immediately bond them out. I can tell you right now, we got our debit cards, the account is set, the debit cards are in operations, and if it's a person in Alachua County, we're going to be there within 24 hours to bond them out. If it's a person in Baker County, we're going to be there within 24 hours to bond them out. If they're in Escambia, if they're in Monroe County, we are going to bond them out, right? That is a guarantee. That's a guarantee there. The other thing we've done is that we've started a legal defense fund, right? And the legal defense fund is designed to raise money to help supplement the cost of legal representation. And so we have been working around the clock, literally, engaging attorneys and engaging firms who, and let me tell you, they're progressive, they're conservative attorneys that are outraged at this and have been reaching out to the organization. We've been coordinating, right? And matter of fact, in Alachua County, if I'm not mistaken, most of those folks now have representation. I think one just don't want it, right? We'll figure that out later. But we are now assigning attorneys to people as they're getting charged. Even in Seminole County, folks in Seminole County have gotten representation. And so we're continuing to grow the legal defense network. And the funds is to help, because these lawyers are saying, we're gonna represent these people pro bono. But in some of these cases, it may entail investigations, and it might, we don't want the attorney to take on additional costs. They're already waiving their normal fees, so we're raising money to help supplement or offset that cost, right?
That's awesome. That's great.
And if there's excess money there, that's going to the bail fund, right? Or it also can be transferable to our fines and fees fund, because in some of these cases, it may be a matter of, okay, let's take care of that too. So not only are we gonna get these charges dropped, but we're gonna make sure that this person is eligible as well. And that's if those fees are within a certain range. We have also been engaging the nation's premier litigation organizations, right? And they have amazingly, for right now, been really following our lead, right? And we got the president of the league right there, right? We have folks NAACP or Legal Defense Fund or ACLU, the Brennan Centers, DMOS, and all these champion organizations that are specialized in civil litigation, right? We have been engaging them, and they're really following our lead, right? For right now. Because our way of responding is slightly different than how people typically respond. And we're asking them to really give us some grace and let us lead this, because we can respond the typical way, right, and take care of maybe that issue right then and there, but it does nothing for the grassroots, long-term grassroots organizing. And so we are approaching this in a way that allows us to have a deeper conversation about democracy, the folks on all sides of the aisle, because you know what? That also reflects our membership, right? We got folks that are conservative, we got folks that are progressive, we got folks that don't give a damn about either one of them because they sick and tired of this partisan BS, right? And that's who we're most concerned about, so we operate in that way. But so we got those buckets that are active, that are very active right now, and that's how we're responding to that. We're not responding to the governor, right? We're not responding to the partisan dialogue. What we're responding to are to the people. And I want to thank you, Danielle, right? Because you was the force in Alachua County that not only elevated the issue, but kept us connected in some type of way, and that helped us to track what was going on. And you're the one that actually pushed about the bail fund, right? And you see, we responded.
And
So
can I
thank
jump
you
in
for
there?
your
Can we
efforts.
actually give Danny a hand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff happens that we all don't know about, but when we gather, she was nice enough to text me almost every day at 7:01. So
Yep.
at least I got a chance to sleep in. So grateful for you and your advocacy, and you just keep doing your thing and loving people. We appreciate you.
Yep, and so we fighting, okay? And we're going to continue to fight. And, you know, if you were there yesterday, I talked about this, and it's like, listen, we're not going to force anyone to vote if they're unsure, right? Definitely want to do that, because I'm not going to tell anybody to do something that's jeopardizing their liberty, because I'm not the one that have to do that time, right? But I want them to know this, that we're going to be with them fighting every step of the way, and we're going to provide all the resources that we got. Even if I got to go in my own pocket, it's going to happen one way or another. So they know that. But the other thing I wanted them to know is that if you want to be cautious, all right, you don't got to be cautious with your family members or your friends. Get 10 of them to go out there and vote on your behalf while we figure this out.
Yeah.
And that should be the message that we're spreading from now until November. Well, listen, first of all, Marcus, thank you so much, bro, for really spending time with us, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Always a source of inspiration. You know, you family, and I know you're going to be back soon. Thank y'all so much for an amazing convening. Here we go. We're going to end out on Wavy Mob, our theme song. And y'all got box lunches. Though we have box lunches for you, make sure you snatch up the box lunches, right? And check out Drive Safely. I love each and every one of you all. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you.
Started with nothing, we turned into something. FRRC. We are the voices, they gave us no choices, you know how we coming. We paid the way for tens and thousands, helping our citizens. They hit us with fines and fears, but they cannot stop the biz.